did see a large sale of treasuries by China's central bank. We would see treasury bonds fall. We would see yields move higher.
It will also, a move like this, when you dump bonds, yields shoot up. It will raise the cost of funding for U.S. government.
What happens when your biggest creditor decides they're done taking your IOUs? That's exactly what China just did, quietly unleashing a financial earthquake while Trump was still counting electoral votes from 2020. Without so much as a press release, China dumped $1.7 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds, a move akin to setting off a financial nuke in slow motion.
China is the biggest buyer of our debt. What would happen to interest rates and our economy if it started selling those treasuries?
While Washington was tangled in partisan showdowns and Twitter theatrics, Beijing made a masterstroke that could ripple through the global economy for years. This wasn't some abstract high-level maneuver. It hit where it hurts most: America's debt. The U.S. relies heavily on foreign buyers to keep its financial engine humming. Treasury bonds, the IOUs of the nation, are the glue holding the debt-riddled machine together. If confidence falters, so does the entire illusion of economic stability. What triggered this? A relatively small decision with massive consequences. The Biden administration ordered U.S. banks to cut ties with a major Chinese battery manufacturer, citing national security risks and alleged links to China's military. Beijing didn't retaliate with loud threats or fiery propaganda. It responded through silence and a surgical economic strike. Instead of rage tweeting at 3 a.m., China sold off American debt. Quiet, efficient, devastating.
By pulling, as what one guest in the morning told us, the nuclear option. That is, selling U.S. treasuries, U.S. bonds basically.
They didn't wave flags or hold news conferences. No drama, just economic pressure delivered with brutal precision. And while they were selling off U.S. debt, China was buying elsewhere. Gold purchases surged, hitting a 5-year high on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Beijing also began acquiring Japanese government bonds and expanded its influence across Asia and Africa using its own currency, the yuan, instead of the dollar.
China, many would say, is possibly to help them defend the yuan, but it comes to those treasury markets that I said, they're not waiting around. I mean,
this is not just a financial shuffle. It's a strategic shift toward a post-dollar world. China isn't just selling treasury bonds, it's building an entirely new global system where the dollar plays a much smaller role, if any. This has consequences. To attract new bond buyers and stabilize the dollar, the U.S. Treasury must raise interest rates. That means higher borrowing costs for everyone. Mortgages, car loans, credit cards, you name it. The pain trickles down fast. The average American will feel it before they can say prime rate.
We did see a large sale of treasuries by China's central bank. We would see treasury bonds fall. We would see yields move higher.
In financial terms, the dollar has lost serious ground. Its share of global reserves just hit its lowest level since 1994, a time when Trump was best known for bankrupt casinos, not executive orders. The U.S. dollar is still dominant, but it's no longer untouchable. The trust isn't what it used to be. Ironically, the man who branded himself as a master of financial deals, Donald Trump, seemed entirely unaware of the shift. As Beijing reshaped global finance, Trump was busy balming Biden and making headlines for golf scores, not global economics. The author of The Art of the Deal didn't even see the deal being rewritten behind his back. China's vision is clear: independence from American financial power.
China retaliate by selling U.S. bonds or not just with words or counter tariffs, but real pain in the bond market.
In just 3 months, they funneled $423 billion into domestic institutions, massive capital infusions designed to insulate their economy from future sanctions and pressure. This is about sovereignty, not just strategy. They're replacing Western credit rating agencies with their own, the same way Trump tries to replace critics with loyalists. Foreign companies are lining up to IPO in Shanghai, not Wall Street. The symbolism is heavy. Global investors are now more comfortable in Beijing than in New York. But this isn't China acting alone. BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are developing an alternative financial system. It's like forming a new economic boy band, and America didn't even get an audition. The US used to own the stage. Now it's watching from backstage. Even America's longtime oil partner, Saudi Arabia, just issued a $4 billion bond in Chinese yuan. That's like your childhood best friend suddenly inviting your rival to prom. It's not just a snub, it's a sign of shifting alliances. In retaliation, the US passed legislation aimed at tightening control over Chinese firms. But compared to China's trillion-dollar moves, it's the equivalent of bringing a plastic spoon to a tank fight. The cash is already gone. The message has already landed. And it doesn't stop there. China is expanding the digital yuan, a new frontier of monetary independence. This isn't just an app on a phone. It's an entire payment infrastructure built to bypass the US dollar entirely. Meanwhile, countries across Europe and the global South are hedging their bets, buying gold, establishing multi-currency trade networks. No one wants to be the last one holding worthless dollars when the music stops. The global game is changing, and fast. So what's the US doing? Waging culture wars over Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Seuss. Congress is locked in endless arguments while the financial foundations shift beneath their feet.
I should mention, it's not just bonds, it is stocks too. China sold a record amount of stocks, $5.1 billion.
It's the equivalent of arguing about paint color while the house is on fire. Trump? He's busy bragging about crowd sizes and debating hand measurements while China reshapes the global economy. He may still be president, but he's playing checkers while Beijing's playing 4D chess.
It will also, a move like this, when you dump bonds, yields shoot up. It will raise the cost of funding for US government.
This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about real power shifting silently across oceans. And the American public is mostly unaware. What China just did isn't just a bond sell-off, it's a declaration. We don't need your money anymore. And it's working. The US must now borrow at higher rates, creating a fiscal bottleneck that hurts everyday Americans more than it hurts Washington elites.
For the fifth month in a row, they've been selling bonds. $16.4 billion is what they sold in August. Danny.
If this continues, inflation rises, borrowing tightens, and confidence erodes. The US dollar may not be dead, but it's definitely bleeding. And Trump? He's still tweeting. Next time someone tells you global finance is boring, remind them this. Power doesn't always change hands with a bang. Sometimes it slips away with a wire transfer.